Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my July and August book haul. Once again, there's quite a few books on this haul, so I'm going to just try to do this as relatively rapid fire as possible. So the first book I got in July was Hot Rabbi by Aviva Blakeman. This is a romance between this woman who isn't really that deeply involved in her Jewish community because of stuff that happened when she was younger, and she eventually starts developing feelings for the new rabbi in her community. So it's that romance. It was gifted to me. I will talk more about it in a future video. So the next books I'm going to be talking about are basically this is the last I'm going to be spending my money on Rainbow Rowell. And so that starts with one copy of Any Way the Wind Blows. Yes, the Waterstones edition. I could not resist because I had the second one. And then the Barnes & Noble edition of Any Way the Wind Blows. Again, because I'm weak and pathetic. And then a signed and personalized copy of Any Way the Wind Blows. I know, I'm weak, but literally the only edition now I'm waiting for is if Waterstones ever does a matching copy for Carry On, so that all the books have like those really pretty sprayed edges. Obviously this is not the one, but the sprayed edges, then that would be my last Rainbow Rowell purchase. But for now, this is the last of it because I just wanted to complete this series and I'm completely unhinged for this series. So that's why I bought all of them, because I was like, let's just go out with a bang. Okay, let's leave Rainbow Rowell behind with a bang. So, not really going to talk much about this because it's the third book in a trilogy, the Simon Snow trilogy. The first one, basically, it's a chosen one story, very inspired by Harry Potter, yada 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 yada. The next book I got was One Last Stop by Casey Mcqueston. This is a romance where we follow this young woman named August who meets this other woman on the Q train, and she thinks she's really cute, but there's something strange going on with that girl. And essentially it's that the girl on the train has been stuck on that train line for many years, and so August becomes obsessed with figuring out a way to essentially free her from being trapped in this train line. Again, we'll be talking more about this in a future video because I already read it. The next book I got was The Unbroken by C.L. Clark. I got this as an ebook because it was on sale for maybe like $2, so I was like, gotta have that. So I'm looking forward to reading it. All I know is that it's part of the Sapphic trifecta of 2021. So really looking forward to some magical Saphics, okay? Okay. The next book I got was A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. Honestly, it's offensive that I haven't picked this up already. I think it's like a novella, and y'all know, if you've been here for a while, that I am a Becky Chambers stan. So the fact that I have not already read this is truly upsetting. And do I know anything? No, except that the series I think is called like The Robot and the Monk. So I'm guessing those are the protagonists of this book. It shall be determined once I actually get around to reading it. The next books I got was the whole All for the Game trilogy. So I will be featuring these covers more in a future vlog. But essentially I caved and bought the whole of the Foxhole Court, all the books, because I knew that the artist Starcaster was going to be making these dust jackets, and I really wanted the dust jackets, so I gave in and finally bought myself physical copies of this series. So I will link down below the artist, so if you're interested in these beautiful dust jackets, then you can have them as well. Just let me quickly show you the other two covers. I didn't say anything about what that series is about, but again, it's because I have a whole video eventually that's going to come up. Actually, I'm starting to thinking it might be a 3-part vlog series. Yikes. Anyway, essentially it's about this young man who is running away from the mafia, from his mafia father, but he really likes this fictional sport called Exy. And so when he gets recruited by a university to play the sport at the college level, he says, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go, even though that puts me in danger. And so essentially it's how his life spirals since he chaotically decides to start playing this sport in a very, very public way when he's supposed to be hiding from his family. The next book I got was The Opposite of Always by Jason Reynolds. This is a kind of like Groundhog Day-ish kind of book. As far as I know, it's about this boy who meets this girl at like this party or something, and he really, really likes her, but she dies, and he keeps getting basically turned back in time to maybe possibly prevent this death, or to maybe learn something else about this death. It's unclear, obviously, because that's the whole point of the novel. So finally gave in and got this because I've been wanting to read this for a very, very long time. So hopefully I will get around to it sooner rather than later. The next book I got was After the Storm by Hannah Birchwood, Raymond, Roach, and Key Dyson. I'm still tempted to film a review of this book, and I finished it like over a month ago, and I'm still tempted to do a single book review. So that should tell you how I feel about it. A lot. Passionately, strongly. I love it so much. Anyway, what is it about? It's about this man who worked as an engineer, I think, in a boat, but that boat was essentially full of criminals, and so all the crew members of that boat are sent off to different ships. And so at his new ship, he's trying to adapt to life now that he doesn't have to circumnavigate all these very complex rules he had to follow while he was in that ship full of criminals. So essentially it's a romance. He's trying to navigate his feelings for quite a few different men. Peak content. We shall see how I decide to review this book. The next book I got was Guarding Temptation by Talia Hibbert. Again, this is because this one was on sale. I think I paid like $1 for it. Plus, I'm a Talia Hibbert stan. Again, if you've been here for a while, you already know this. But what is this one about? I think it's like this woman who runs this political blog, and she starts getting death threats, and the best friend of her brother, like part-time, works kind of as a bodyguard-ish, or maybe has like a bodyguard-ish business. Wow, why couldn't I remember the word business? Anyway, and so it's essentially about the two of them falling in love and spending a lot of time because he wants to keep her safe from these potential death threats becoming reality. The next book I got was Victories Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders. I got this for free because Tor has this whole program of free ebooks every month, I think it is. So got it through there. Don't know much about it. I think the author is transgender, and that's why I wanted to read it. So I'm looking forward to it. I just have zero clue about anything about it. The next book I got was Binding a Page by Raymond, Roach, and Key Dyson. So I got this one after reading After the Storm, and it is a vampire romance essentially. It's very, very short. It's more like a novella slash long-ish short story. Really, really had a lot of fun with it. It's basically like a forced proximity kind of thing. They're trying to force these two characters to be together, but kind of on their own terms. They end up together anyway. It was a good time. The last book I got in July was Punderworld by Linda Sagic. This is a retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth. I got this through NetGalley, so I already have a review on Goodreads for this book, so I will have that linked down below. So in the intro of this video, I completely forgot to mention how I usually divide these videos, but essentially first I like to talk about the books that I either bought for myself, received from a publisher, or got as a gift, and then I like to talk about the books I checked out from the library. So let's just get started into the July portion of the library books I checked out, which I think was only one. Yes, the only book I checked out from the library in July was The Disenchantments by Nina Lacour. This is a contemporary novel where we essentially follow this boy who his best friend is in this band, and so all of them together go on this mini road trip to different like tour stops for them before they all separate as they go into college. And the drama is that originally he and his best friend were going to have a gap year where they traveled around the world, but then he learns that she decided to apply to art school and is going to art school. So he's kind of like, what am I supposed to do with my life now? Already read this, wasn't my favorite, but again, we'll talk more about it in another video. So as for the books that I got in August, the first one is Tigers Not Daughters by Samantha Mabry. Don't know much about this one either. I just know that it seemed interesting, and I think I've seen the cover before, and I was at a used bookstore and I was just like, you know what, let's just do it because it's used, it's cheaper, so I took the plunge. While at that same bookstore, I got The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. I have read Exit West by this author, really loved it. I really want to revisit it. I technically also read this, but I think I read it back in 2017, and I can promise you I did not have the brain cells needed to fully grasp this book. So when I saw it for cheaper at the bookstore, I was kind of like, you know what, I should just do it. I should just grab it and reread it. So looking forward to revisiting this one. And again, I don't remember much about it, so I can't really say what it's about. Potentially it's about 9/11. I think so, or at least you have to understand 9/11 to fully grasp this book. Then I got The Magic Fish. This is a graphic novel. I bought it on a whim because again, it was like $1, $2 or so. And I really started getting into a graphic novel / manga mood in August because I was really struggling to read. So I picked this up, and it's essentially about this Vietnamese American, I think, young boy who is queer, is closeted, and he's trying to figure out how to come out to his parents. But then a family loss happens that kind of makes it even more difficult for him to figure out how to come out. Then I got The Inheritance of Orchida Divina by Soraida Cordova. I restarted my Book of the Month subscription essentially just so that I could get this book. But I've just heard wonderful things, so I really want to read it. Plus, I've wanted to continue reading books by this author, but just haven't done it. So hopefully this will be my path into doing that. Essentially, this one is about, I think this one's kind of like about this young woman whose family has like magical abilities or access to magic in some way. And so when one of the family members dies, the inheritance that they get is magical but maybe messed up in some way. And then I also got from Book of the Month The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. I have loved this series of this author, so I was really looking forward to this book. I haven't read it yet, but it is a romance. I think it's the last in the series, but I'm not entirely sure. Essentially, we follow one of the side characters that we first meet either in book 1 or in book 2. I can't remember anymore. And essentially, he's very much the playboy, and it's finally his time to fall in love and commit to a woman. So yeah, looking forward to this. The next book I got was The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. Again, this was another Tor book that they have the whole free ebook a month program thing. So I got it from there. Don't know much about it, but I'm pretty confident it's queer, so I'm like, let's do it. So the last book I got in August was Summer Suns by Lee Mandelo. I won this in a giveaway hosted by Tor, so thank you very much to Tor for sending an advanced reader's copy of this to me. I'm currently buddy reading it with Steph over at Coffee Over Apples. She's technically already finished it. She zoomed right ahead of me, but that just means that I can message her to my heart's content and I'm not spoiling anything. So this is essentially a southern kind of gothic horror where we follow this young man who is starting his graduate program, and he is trying to figure out the potentially mysterious circumstances in which his adopted brother, yes, I will call him that because that is what he is, the circumstances in which he died. But the two of them had a pretty complex relationship. If you know what I mean by that, you know. And so essentially our protagonist is being haunted by this adopted brother. So I'm like 140 pages into this. I'm finally really getting into it. So I will probably have a very chaotic single book review of this sometime soon. As for the books I checked out from the library in August, the first one was Boys Run the Riot by Keito Gaku. I checked out the second volume in this series, which is essentially about this closeted transgender boy who starts this new friendship with the new boy at school, and they decide to start a fashion brand. So already read this one, really enjoyed it. Again, we'll talk more about it in the future. Then I also checked out volumes 1 and 2 of Blue Period by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. This is about this teenage boy who is kind of disenchanted with life, doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life. He's really smart academically speaking, but he doesn't have any passions, and he discovers a passion for the arts and for painting. And so we follow him as he develops that passion. Already read volume 1, enjoyed it, looking forward to reading volume 2 in order to decide if I'm really going to commit to this manga series. And then finally I checked out The Girl from the Other Side, volume 10 by Nagabe. As you all know, if you've been here, y'all know that I really love this manga series, have really been enjoying it. I am highly looking forward to seeing what happens in this volume. Honestly, I know we're drawing close to the conclusion of this series, and I'm just like, I need answers. I need answers, okay? I need to know what's going to happen. And in this series, we're basically in this world where there is an inside and an outside. And on the outside, there are outsiders who have been essentially contaminated by this plague that makes them into monstrous creatures. And so we follow this little girl who should have turned into one of these creatures, but for some reason hasn't. And so we follow her along, first as she starts making a friendship between one of the outsiders, and eventually as she starts getting embroiled in the court politics of the inside. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I will have the links to that down below in the description. But for now, see you next time.